This year, at the papal conclave, Britain will be represented by three cardinals. That's more than I think any within the last century. And there is a fourth at hand who is just too old to be one of the voters. And Tim Radcliffe, who I knew in Oxford, uh, he thinks apathy is the bigger problem than atheism. Apathy, after all, as he points out, is a belief. Apathy is just a general malaise. And with the passing of Pope Francis, the Catholic Church faces its one of these great vacuums, the spiritual, symbolic, strategic, that has to be filled. And his funeral, which will be held with the customary solemnity of Vatican ceremony, gives way to the centuries-old ritual of the conclave, the cloistered selection of his successor within the frescoed sanctuary of the Sistine Chapel. Photographs have just been released this morning of Pope Francis in his coffin, which is unusual again. Normally, a pope is it simply lies on a catafalque, and Francis lies in this coffin, and wearing a red chasuble, not holding a crozier of any sort, holding a rosary. And though the papacy is notionally above politics, the selection of a new pope is perhaps one of the oldest forms of institutionalized power broking in the Western world. The principle that he who enters a conclave as pope leaves as a cardinal remains as true today as it did in the 13th century. The real papabile, the men seen as likely candidates, are often those who speak softly, move quietly, and disavow all ambition. In short, those who seek the office are rarely trusted with it. This conclave, however, may break moulds. For the first time in centuries, the strongest contenders, including candidates from Asia and Africa, are therefore from all over the world. As the demographic centre of Catholicism shifts away from Europe and into the global south, the College of Cardinals, comprising 138 electors under the age of 80, faces a decision not merely about leadership, but about geography, identity, and theological direction. Among the most prominent candidates is Peter Turkson of Ghana, 76 years old, articulate, charismatic, deeply engaged in the Church's social justice mission. A former president of the Pontifical Council for Justice and Peace, he's long championed economic fairness, climate action, peace in conflict zones such as South Sudan. If elected, he could be the first black pope in modern history, an extraordinary gesture towards the Church's African future. Also, another prominent is Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, known as some as the Asian Francis. Tagle, 67, is a Filipino cardinal with a formidable blend of theological acumen and pastoral sensitivity. As prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, he is essentially the Vatican's chief missionary, a progressive voice. Tagle embodies the compassion-centered ethos of Francis, though some conservatives would regard his approach as too modern. Then there's Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Vatican Secretary of State, 70 years old, Italian, seasoned in diplomacy. He's negotiated with China successfully and steered delicate relations in the Middle East. Parolin represents continuity with Francis, but also a move back to Italian administrative control, something which many Vatican insiders would not find unwelcome. Others in the race include Peter Erdo of Hungary, a conservative favourite, Robert Sarra of Guinea, a hardline traditionalist, Matteo Zuppi of Bologna, a centrist known for ecumenical efforts. Notably, three leading contenders bear the name Peter, a detail that has ignited fevered speculation about the apocalyptic prophecies of the popes by this medieval document, allegedly penned by St. Malachi in 1139, claims there'll be 112 popes between Celestine II and the end of time. Pope Francis was allegedly the 111th. The 112th, Peter the Roman, will, the prophecy says, shepherd the church through tribulations before Rome falls and Christ returns. While scholars widely consider it a 16th century forgery, it still grips the religious imagination, especially as three leading cardinals, Turkson, Parolin and Erdo, all bear the name Peter. Britain is sending three voting cardinals to the conclave: Vincent Nichols, Timothy Radcliffe and Michael Fitzgerald. Cardinal Nichols, 79, Archbishop of Westminster, has explicitly ruled himself out, stating that with admirable candour that the Holy Spirit would not choose him even for a moment. Radcliffe, a Dominican known for his intellectual brilliance and liberal theology, is admired but not considered a serious contender, which is a shame. I think he has a powerful mind and he has a lively, mobile intellect. And he's interested in many, many things. Fitzgerald, a former expert in Christian-Muslim dialogue, is also unlikely to feature. Though the UK once gave the church its only English Pope Adrian IV in 1154, contemporary Britain's influence within the Vatican is minimal, a fact that mirrors the general decline of European clout within the Universal Church. The next Pope must walk a tightrope. He must retain fidelity to Catholic doctrine while remaining pastorally attuned to the pluralistic and fracturing world around us. The debate now is not only between left and right, tradition and reform, but between a Eurocentric past and a globalised future. To that end, the conclave will not only decide who wears the white cassock next, it will decide what kind of church the 21st century inherits. Whether we're witnessing the rise of a new Peter the Roman or simply another chapter in ecclesiastical pageantry, only time and smoke will tell.